And moving ahead, we have an interesting panel discussion coming up, building a tier 2 and 3 incubation ecosystem for deep tech. And I would request the panelists to please step forward. Dr. Suresh Kumar, who has an extensive experience in innovation, management, entrepreneurship development, and industry academia collaboration, and he has nurtured numerous technology startups through incubation, mentoring, and ecosystem building initiatives. Under his leadership, PSG STEP has strengthened Coimbator's reputation as a hub for engineering, manufacturing, and tech-driven entrepreneurship. So can we have a big round of applause for Dr. Suresh, sir? Next, we have in line Dr. Anand Badalkar, Director, Savli TBI. He leads initiatives to support early-stage startup technology ventures through incubation, mentoring, industry collaboration, with a strong background in innovation, management, and a key role in strengthening Gujarat's startup ecosystem and enabling founders to translate ideas into scalable, market-ready solution. And we have Dr. Balachandran, Director, IIT TBI. Dr. Bala sir leads program that supports technology startup through incubation, mentoring, funding, and industry partnership with strong expertise in innovation, management, product development, and entrepreneurship. He has played a key role in nurturing deep tech ventures and strengthening VIT innovation ecosystem. We also have Dr. Abhishek Parekh, CEO AIC Banasthali, who leads initiatives to foster women-led innovation, entrepreneurship, and startup growth with strong expertise in incubation management, technology, commercialization, and ecosystem development. He has played a key role in supporting early-stage ventures and strengthening one of India's leading women-focused innovation hubs. Next, we have Mr. Jeremy Friesen, CEO Venture Studio Ahmedabad. He leads program that supports early-stage entrepreneurship through incubation, mentorship, and innovation-driven capacity building. With international experience in startup development, ecosystem design, and social entrepreneurship, he plays a key role in shaping Venture Studio's mission to nurture impactful design-led ventures in India. And the moderator to moderate the session is Dr. Soma Chattopadhyay, Head Incubation Venture Center. She oversees incubation programs, startup support mechanism, and innovation-driven initiatives that help early-stage founders who accelerate their journey from lab to market. With strong expertise in science-led entrepreneurship and ecosystem development, she plays a key role in nurturing high-potential technology ventures and enabling impactful innovation. I request all the panel members to please step up.
Good morning, everyone, and a warm welcome to this exciting theme for this panel discussion, which is building the Tier 2 and Tier 3 incubation ecosystem. And it's an honor and privilege to share the stage with such stalwarts. When we hear about Tier 2 and Tier 3, don't we feel that these cities have missed the party and they have come late to the party? It's like, they are behind somebody. But I'm sure all of you would agree that it's not the case. The most exciting and energetic startup ecosystem is developing outside the metros. And you would all agree that the stellar examples of few recent things that we are seeing in the startup ecosystem, like the stories of iconic SaaS startup like Zoho, or Dayheart, or Minimalist, or Physicswala, or even why only startups, the greatest of innovations like Amul, or for that matter, our Jaipur food kind of innovation. They have made, world-renowned kind of, mark, but they have just all been from places outside metro. So these hubs are no longer behind metro cities, and people sitting here are actually examples of those stories. And we have with us people who are actually making that happen. So this particular panel, we are going to dive right into exploring that what makes innovation in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities distinctly disruptive, how can we build the momentum going ahead, and what makes it so unique in Tier 2, Tier 3 cities. So let's dive into this. But before we get started with the incubation ecosystem, I always believe it is about the person who is making this happen. It is always very passion driven, right? So to all of you, I would like to first hear your personal stories to start with, right? The person you are. All of you, I think, Dr. Bhadilkar, Dr. Suresh, you guys are stalwart and you started when incubation was a buzzword and we were just thinking about it and, people were just thinking through how to get started with that mechanism. You all could have done things in metro cities. You could have all started with the resources that was available, but you chose to do it in places where it was not really buzzing at that point of time. So to start with, what inspired you to actually take up steps in areas which was not something in Bangalore or Delhi or Mumbai, or Chennai? With you first.
Very good morning and thank you so much for these kind words. At least in my case, the story was slightly different. And very interestingly, it was ISBA that was catalyst. I'd been to VIT's session. We were thinking of technopreneurship. We used to call it Udyogeshri Riyashaha. Of course, the name is Sanskrit, but then, yeah. And then we visited VIT and it gave us a booster dose to do something. So that is how it started. It started with an EDP program for scientists, and then we realized, as I was telling someone yesterday, we finished with a 5-day program on a Saturday, and the following Monday, we had 3 people in our office sitting. कि हम लोग job छोड़ के आगे बताओ क्या करना है, and we realized that this is something, at least in Gujarat, you cannot do it like this. You have to. Then we realized that if we have to do this, we already had a venture fund, a biotech venture fund in 2004-5, but then we did not have a shared facility. We did not have a co-working facility per se. Did not have an incubator. So then we started, looking out in the backward integration of a biotech park that was coming up in Baroda. There was a building, a Sarkari building lying unutilized. We thought, let us start something over there. And again, DBT at that time and BIRAP, which was a part of DBT then, were kind enough to support even before the state government gave their nod. And that is how it all started. And the initial success actually catalyzed some more support also from state government and then Nidhi, TBI and other things to follow. So this is how it started. And then, coincidentally, because our biotech park was coming up in a tier 2 city, and because we had some more number of cities where there were hotspots. So I'll talk about the ECBCs or entrepreneurship capacity building cells, all of them in tier 2, tier 3, maybe later. But in course of time, we realized that this is where, because Ahmedabad was anyways a hotspot and doing something, but other places needed something. So that's the long story short.
But what kept you going? Like, what motivated you to keep going in that city and not gather that experience and move on to a bigger city and do something much bigger where the resource was, available probably at plenty than what you could have done in the place that you were in?
Honestly, space is a dearth in bigger cities. In contrast, here in the industrial estate of Savli, we had ample space to proliferate, to build on, to come up with newer centers, come up with soft landing spaces, come up with brownfield spaces, and the park also there, other universities. So it was this. But then we realized that, yes, there was enough talent waiting, and then we still want to sort of penetrate even down there into yet smaller cities, smaller towns, and make sure that that we don't miss out onto them.
Dr. Suresh Kumar, same question applies to you as well.
Good morning. Thanks, Soma, for making us to rewind about 30 years story. Right. Incubation Center has been started in 98, but PSG College of Technology, the host institution, is known for promoting entrepreneurship, and we had an entrepreneurship development cell supported by Department of Science and Technology in the late 80s. And we received funding in those days between 88 to 93, 94. And we have been performing well in the targets that has been.
I'll cut you short there. We will come to that. What I want to know is that the interesting background story of why you started that
That's the
entire
reason
this.
I'll tell you this story because
I mean, you know,
because once the EDC is over, right, what next was the question that has been put by the management or the operational team. And since we have been closely working with the government agency, they gave an opportunity that there is a scheme which is called as Science and Technology Entrepreneurs Park. Why not you apply? And the only step that was available is a TREC step, REC step in those days, which was started in 1983. So it is out of our management interest to ask what next. After the EDC is over, what next in entrepreneurship? So the DST came forward and told that there is a proposal and why not your institute apply on it? And as a project, they applied, but they went systematically. Even before applying, they formed a society. And then as a society, they applied for the project under the name of BIG STEP, and they started the society in 96, but we got the sanction. So the answer here is what next? If you have achieved something, right? So it all started that what next is still continuing. If you achieve something, then what next in this particular field? That's how we started in 98 as an IT incubation center. And after 4 or 5 years, after the DST funding is over, the question is where we stand and what next. And all this what next is based on what we can do for the ecosystem in the region. To answer your third question of why not to other cities, as a policy, PSG as a trust, as an institution which is now celebrating its 100th year, has not done any initiative outside Coimbatore. We have
you could have moved out, right?
No,
like,
no. We have to align with we have to align with the philosophy of the host institute or that. So we are happy in what we are doing, and instead of expanding horizontally, we went deeper. As an incubation center, we started with 5,000 square feet. Today, we have about 100,000 square feet of space. We started with about numbers. Right, we have been happy to say that we had 15 startups, 20 startups, because numbers has been appreciated in 90s or early 2000. Today, the numbers, every incubation center which has started a year before has 35 startups in a year, right? So what next after that 5 years is over? Then slowly we expanded into electronics. We expanded into biotech, nanotech, center of excellence. And all this expansion is happened based on the requirement of the entrepreneurs from the region, and not only startups. So whatever we have done, whatever the investment that has been made by the management, startups also benefited out of it, and the industry ecosystem from the region also benefited out of it. Even if it is nanotechnology or biotech, even yesterday we had a discussion in the round table, the Center of Excellence by DST. So that's the first question is what next? The second two philosophy on which we started building our incubation activity is, the first principle is on empathy towards entrepreneurs, right? So any service and incubation center, if it wants to expand or build or introduce new, unless otherwise we interact with the entrepreneurs, we connect at the ground, have more interaction, will not be in a position to understand their problems and their requirements. Based on that, we expanded our operations, and we are happy that we are serving to the community. But outside Coimbatore, yes, we have spread our wings, not directly, through our incubators. Our incubators have been funded by IKP. Our incubators have been funded by Riddle. Our incubators have been funded by other incubators across the country, right from Delhi to, right from IIT Delhi, right? So the third thing that kept us focusing on physical incubation.
Sure, we'll come back to that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, Soma, I've been an accidental incubation manager.
So that's the personal story I'm looking forward to.
So after 13 years in industry, precision engineering segment, transitioning to techno-commercial function, after a kind of a career debacle in 2000 when I wanted to pivot to IT, it did not work. So this advertisement was a little attractive, person with a techno-commercial experience, industry, and so this incubation. So that attracted, and but what happened, same time I had an option from Malaysia. So I declined this offer and went to Malaysia. After 4 months, again, there were challenges. They asked me to go to China, which I was not comfortable at that point of time. And same day, the person who was hired as a replacement resigned, and there was another call asking me if I'm still available. I said, yes, I'll come. And within 15 days, but with thought that I was always scared of professors, so that back of the mind that was there. So maybe I'll give a 3-month try, see if this works, otherwise get back to industry. With that thought, I came back from Kuala Lumpur. But within 3 months, this InfoDev conference was there in Bangalore. Yesterday, I narrated that story of ISBA's initial discussions after meeting Dr. Vivek Chaudhary, Ms. Mittal, Dr. Mann. I thought something is going to happen in this space. So let me give another year. So I'm still counting another year after 22 years. And
And it kept on going.
And what keeps me going is another part. See, most of the corporates, if you see, people do some soul-searching activities in the weekend. They go to NGOs, I'm paid for that on a daily basis. And every day there is some kind of learning. A young student, first year, walks in and says, I have an idea. Can you help me to build a startup? So that's the kind of push keeping me.
Sure.
Thank you.
And if you can also comment on, like, you've been there for so long, right? So what is that journey has been, right? What kept you tied to that particular ecosystem for so long? Why you didn't consider moving out at some point of time?
First one is air quality index.
Okay, great.
That's a kind of...
That's a big unique strength of the Tier 2 cities, I must say.
Other aspect, Vellore is my hometown. Although I never wanted to be in my hometown, but after seeing Bangalore, I worked in Bangalore, I worked in Chennai, I worked in Coimbatore. This place, somebody asked how much time it takes for you to, on a normal day, it's about 7 minutes. If there is traffic, it's 9 minutes. So that's the kind of luxury I enjoy. And
Thank you so much. Abhishek,
Yeah, thanks.
over to you.
Thanks.
So I believe, banking, risk management, entrepreneurship development. What attracted you to women entrepreneurship? Because Vanasthali, I guess, is one of the largest network of women entrepreneurship. So tell us about your passion to, work in this area. What drives you to work there, and how you think that this is really exciting and going on over there.
Thanks, Soma. I think there is a brief story. Right? So I joined academics. I was with HDFC Bank for almost 10 years. I joined Banasthali in 2015. There was a entrepreneurship course which the university has been teaching for decades, but I did not see any entrepreneur coming out of that. And there was an entrepreneurship cell also with the academic type. So this faculty resigned, who was the coordinator for the entrepreneurship cell. I was very fond of LinkedIn. Since 2008, I've been using it. And I used to see a lot of action around entrepreneurship incubation. And I talked to our vice chancellor that, we don't talk about innovation as such. I mean, unfortunately, it's a 9-decade-old university. For last 70 years, nobody talked about innovation, entrepreneurship in the university because the challenges were different. The challenges were to sustain and, So December 2015, this faculty resigned. And I asked the vice chancellor that I want to take this up because I see a lot of opportunities coming up in this area. And he said, Karlo. So then I picked that up. We did not have money because it's a social enterprise. Money is always a challenge for us. So then we scouted for money, right? Where to bring money for doing all the activities. So we approached State Bank of India. I found out some common connect there. And I requested the MD, that was State Bank of Bikaner in Jaipur that time. So we requested the MD to support us with some money for women entrepreneurship. We invited him to the campus. He was fascinated. And we offered a proposal. And he offered a big chunk of money for promoting women entrepreneurship. And that started giving us wings to, do a lot of activities. When I look back, we did a lot of childish activities, so to say, right? I can all humbly say that we did a lot of foolish things also for that matter. A lot of baby steps we have taken. But then we realized that when you promote entrepreneurship, you need a progression also for students to start their ventures. And incubation was a new term in 2016. Rajasthan, nobody talked about incubation that time. So we started calling people from Bangalore to tell us what is incubation, and they used to ask 50 lakh rupees for setting up the incubation. We did not have that money. And 2016, Niti Aayog came up with applications for setting up the Atal Incubation Centers, and we realized that it's a godsend scheme for us because that's what we were looking for. And we applied, we got through, and we realized it's a different ball game altogether because we were not prepared for that kind of intervention, frankly. So I asked my vice chancellor that, the Niti Aayog has selected us for the final round. Should we go or not? He said, you should go, but you should do only if you think of world-class incubation center. And that's how we started thinking of, setting up something big, something aspirational. And we got through it, and that's been the journey. That's how we started, right? But I think all through, we kept on learning on a lot of things because everything you have to bring to the campus to start. There was nothing existing, nothing, no ecosystem, no mentor, no investor, everything you have to bring back to the campus, which kept us on our toes. But I think that's the fun part of solving a challenge also. You are kept on it somehow.
Very inspiring. Thank you. Jeremy? I think
Hi.
you have a very exciting story to tell us that, what led you to come join Venture Studio. Like you are doing amazing, some social innovation work in Ahmedabad or in Jaipur, I guess. And now you are in Venture Studio. So tell us, because I think you are one of the newest member in this ecosystem supporting the deep tech startups. So please help us understand what inspired you to join here and, how you find this entire ecosystem.
Sure, thank you so much. And thanks again to ISBA for organizing this year's ISBACON. It's amazing. It's my first ISBACON. It feels so warm to be here with the stalwarts and the folks that have been building this innovation and incubation ecosystem now 20 plus years. And thanks for being so open and welcoming and sharing knowledge. I think that's such an important aspect of building a healthy ecosystem is a lot of knowledge sharing. So my history in entrepreneurship, goes back over 20 years. One of my first major entrepreneurial endeavors was a goat farm in southern Ohio with my mom and my two older brothers. That was the first time that we started an LLC in the US and did a strategic plan and vision for a major operation on 120 acres. Then in 2009, I was a final year college student at Union College in New York, and I attended a term abroad to India. It was 20 days traveling through the country with an economics and anthropology professor. And one of the days we stopped in Bagru, which is about 30 kilometers west of Jaipur, and has a very rich history of hand block printing. So nowadays we talk about deep tech, but that tech is actually ancient tech. It dates back over 4,000 years to the Harappan civilization. There's evidence of this craft existing in India. And so I was blown away when I understood how that small economy in Bagru was mastering this craft over centuries. And I had the social entrepreneurial light bulb moment that brought me to India, which was identifying the problem that the artisans there, like artisans around the world, are disconnected from their end consumers if they're trading globally. And so I wrote a proposal that I would move to Bagru and live there, work there, share knowledge with the artists about digital marketing and e-commerce so they could become better independent business owners. I would also promote the craft and find designers, retailers, and wholesalers around the world that were open to trying a new business model, working directly in the homes of the artisans. So that was the premise. I was awarded this fellowship as an undergrad, and after I crossed the stage at commencement with my bachelor's degree, I packed up a suitcase and I moved to Bagru. And that was the start of my social entrepreneurial journey in India. Over the course of 10 years, I co-founded another two social entrepreneurial ventures there in Bagru. We launched a new one last year in Bangalore, near Dodakalasandra metro station. In case anybody's in Bangalore, you can go visit Rangmudra there. And so after COVID, I moved back to the US and I joined, it was my first time joining an incubator. I served as director of startup services at Alloy Growth Lab, which was started back in 1983. It's the actually oldest business incubator in Ohio. It had over 70,000 square feet of office and laboratory space. And it's an interesting model because they have an economic development office attached to the incubator. The Economic Development Office works directly with the city and the state government for different initiatives. And there's also a loan office that ties up with a program called the Small Business Administration 504 loan, which is for growing businesses that want to purchase their first commercial real estate. And so it's a very competitive loan program, federally backed, competitive terms. And so that was over the course of about 3 years, I started learning about the incubation landscape. I started collaborating with the local research institutions. I began working very closely with founders on pitching and investor relations, product development. I ran a program there called Morning Mentoring, which is a virtual pitch feedback program. And then last year, so my other tie to India, my better half, my wife is from India. She's actually from Assam. And we met in Jaipur back in 2016. We got married in between the first and second wave of COVID here in Assam. And so they wanted to invite 2,000 guests to the wedding, but thanks to the COVID regulations, we could only invite 800. I don't know how they got 800 people there.
It's a large number.
So
Dr. Suresh Kumar would have a different view about Coimbatore wedding.
So we welcomed a son to the world last year. We were in the US in Cincinnati, and we decided we wanted to raise our family in India. And so I'm an OCI card holder, so it's easy for me to be here. And I started looking for positions in the incubation ecosystem here because it's what I'm passionate about. I wanted to be attached to a academic institution. And so by the grace of the universe, I landed in Ahmedabad earlier this year in February, where I serve now as CEO of the venture studio, the Ahmedabad University Venture Studio. And so Ahmedabad University's venture studio is pretty unique as well. It's the name is a bit of a misnomer because we're not, the common venture studio model where we co-found startups with founders, or we put a founder in place and then invest in that company and build the team.
Not a typical venture studio model.
Right. So so Praful Anubai was the vice chancellor at the time of Ahmedabad University, and he built a relationship with Stanford in California. And they sent 2 design thinking research fellows to Ahmedabad every year from about January to June. And they ran design thinking cohorts. Those were for either folks that had an entrepreneurial idea or had heard about entrepreneurship and startups and wanted to do something. So it was really before the whole Startup India hype and this new thing about the startup mindset. It was just traditional businesses and VCs at that time. And so we ran about 10 cohorts of that design thinking program for about 5 years. Then 2015, 2016, we started aligning with the government of Gujarat and the central government. We are a BIRAC-supported BioNest we set up in 2019.
So, Jeremy, we'll come to that. We'll come to the details about that shortly, right? Sure. Thanks for that detail that you mentioned here. So I'll come to Dr. Balachandran again. So now let's dive into the ecosystems that all of you are operating in, right? And let's understand what's unique about those ecosystems. Let's also understand what are the challenges you had to face and how did you really overcome. So talking about VIT, right? It's uniquely positioned. The VIT one side has technology, engineering college. On the other side, there is CMC Vellore, right? One of the largest probably medical institute as well. So how do you really see this ecosystem helping you out as well? And if there are any challenges you felt being a tier 2 city in developing this whole ecosystem. And you can also tell us the stellar companies that you have supported so far. Few I know that we share as Venture Center. Lamarck Biotech is there, Biodimension is there. We know of already great some biotech companies, biomed companies have already come up. But what kind of challenges you faced and what did you feel was unique about your ecosystem that you would like to throw some lights on?
In fact, Deepan with us done some study on this, and Vellore was one of the elements. In fact, in Vellore, there are 3 Vellores. One is the CMC Vellore, VIT Vellore, and the City Vellore.
Right.
And they don't talk to each other.
Great.
And so this is the fact. See what happens as an institute, it has great reputation. They have their own set of challenges. All the doctors are extremely busy. Even patients come from Nepal and Bangladesh. And at personal level, we have some contacts with some senior doctors. They are always willing to help, but they are constrained at times. Predominantly, we have other institutions also in Chennai, in Bangalore, even Rahul gyms offered the services. So the network is quite big. So whenever there is a need, we are in a position to connect and build that. But with respect to deep tech, again, there are a couple of challenges. Though there have been some good companies, to maintain a steady stream of quality pipeline, it's a challenge. Except this year, there have been very good placements in IT. The creamy layer goes to the IT, and those who are left out, they come to PG, and further filtration, they come to PhD. Deep tech without deep science is meaningless. And this is also unfortunate that the government programs are predominantly towards Edisons rather than Einsteins. We need Einsteins, also Edisons. And with this backdrop, the academia also has their own set of challenges. When NIRF rank talks about patenting and TRLs, how in biotech you cannot go from TRL 3 to 4. In some cases, even Lamarck we have seen 3 to 5 or 6, it required 20 crores, 3, 4, 5 years. So that's the reality with we'll have to grapple. So these are all the real challenges. So at policy level, some introspection is needed, and execution level also at different levels. So we need, but what we are effectively doing is there are some policy incentives for faculty members. Now faculty are allowed to do their startup, and there we try to align an industry partner who could do all the running around and meeting investors, business planning. But faculty alone, it's also going to be a bigger challenge in Indian ecosystem, because they are looking at a tenured position, steady career options, all that. So these are all some initial thoughts we can discuss if time permits.
Sure. So we'll stay with the southern cluster again, and I would like to go to Dr. Suresh Kumar and just try to understand from Coimbatore point of view, right? It's been a manufacturing powerhouse, right? With all the textiles. I recently visited and I just was thrilled by the kind of industries around, and also I'm sure that poses a great unique strength of the ecosystem. But did you also feel some challenges? And you can also help us tell how have you designed it differently in order to overcome those challenges, your incubation models or any other support system around entrepreneurs?
Right from the beginning, Coimbatore is a city which has been self-made. And it has been made as an industrial city by the sons of soil. It's not only textiles, you name the field, you have the presence of that industry. It can be in electronics, it can be in textiles, it can be in manufacturing, motors, pumps. Even today, if it's in IT, defense, and things like that. So one thing which is an advantage Coimbatore was about the ecosystem, entrepreneurial ecosystem. They come together, they closely work together. The industry associations in Coimbatore are very strong, and they always worked on a policy of working together as a team. And a lot of common facilities has been created in Coimbatore by the industry associations, right from the Codicia Industrial Park to Codicia's Trade Fair Complex to all the industry associations are closely netted. So that gave an advantage for as an incubation center to closely work with the ecosystem. And they also come forward to support whenever we need in terms of mentorship, in terms of experts, or even first customer kind of support, or to as a test bed and things like that. That's the advantage we still have. And but if you look at the challenge is the same thing, right? Very recently, the government started looking Coimbatore as the next destination, and almost all the programs, investments are now started towards Coimbatore. The challenge what we had is on the investment part. Coimbatore being an entrepreneur city, people always look at the opportunity cost, right? They don't look investing in a startup till about 4 or 5 years before. I'm telling right now there is a change. right? They don't look investing on a startup as a portfolio. See, if I put 5 lakhs or 25 lakhs in a startup, instead if I put 25 lakhs in the same, my own business, my return on investment can be measured in next 30 days. So that gave us to learn, right, from an entrepreneur mindset to the investment mindset, and we should have two mindsets. And slowly people started changing it, and now things are getting changed.
Sure. I have to cut short the discussions. Looks like organizers are running short of time. So I'll just take very, very quick answers from some of you. So Dr. Valkar, I'll come to you that, GSBTM has been you have been a pioneer in actually driving those whole initiative. The park is there, the TBI is there. So just tell us how the government support has been in actually boosting this entire ecosystem in the Savli and the Gujarat area, and how your efforts has been, being able to overcome some of the challenges.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, we are a standalone incubator in contrast to being associated with any academic organization, and hence there have been some challenges, as in we, all of the academic incubators possibly act as a pipeline to us.
Okay.
And then being positioned in an industrial estate gives us the leverage to allow not only avail test license for the incubatees, but also the manufacturing license there. So we have some incubatees undertaking commercial manufacturing from the incubator.
Great.
So if I come to challenges, we are positioned. If Ahmedabad is tier 2 and Vadodara tier 3, we are possibly tier 4 out there away. And then, possibly all the employees out there, they get the lowest class of HRA or so on. So not many people wanting to, come there or whatever. So these have been some number of course, public transport to such a remote location is not there existing. You have to, so these are, how does it compound? These challenges compound when, it's not easy for incubatees to come. It's not easy for your instrument maintenance people to come. You ask investors to come down. You say, can we meet somewhere centrally like Ahmedabad or Gandhinagar? So these have been some number of challenges. How have we tried to overcome that? Short answer, now we have an approval for a hub in Gandhinagar, a small one, 4,000 or 5,000 square feet space, which we will develop as an accelerator or something like that.
Okay.
And this is how we are trying to solve it.
Thank you. Can we take one last question? Yes, thank you. Abhishek, I definitely would like to hear, since you mentioned it has been really challenging, that area, there was nothing, and all the resources, literally you had to, from ground up level, you had to create there, right? So please take us through how have you designed the model, what is the current situation there, and how are you planning to accelerate the whole momentum?
Yes, thanks. So, when we started thinking of setting up a women-centric incubator, the first question is why women-centric? A lot of people question that how women entrepreneurs are different. So what we did was we started, it was a Bharat Brahman I did. I visited many centers, understanding their model. I personally spoke to almost 100 women entrepreneurs, understanding what exactly they look for. And we realized that a lot of women, they start after a sabbatical. Today, these things have changed after 8 years or so. But I think that time, a lot of women started after a sabbatical. They have family responsibilities. They have so many things to take care of. And many incubation centers were asking women to come down to the incubator for physical incubation. And we realized this model will not work. So we started a hybrid model, right? Where we don't force the entrepreneur to come to the center, but in the process, we don't lose out on the engagement also, right? So we're a very well-defined virtual process of engagement, and there are some physical sessions also, which we do almost a month, so that the entrepreneur comes, mentors comes, investors come, and we physically meet and understand and sit together. That's the first thing, we did. The second thing, the question was asked that what exactly you do with the entrepreneurs. I mean, what incubation model will work for women entrepreneurs? And it took us some time to answer that question, right? So what we simply say is that we don't do different things now. We do things differently, right? A lot of women lack confidence. They lack connections. They lack financial capital from the family, financial support from the family. And they take time to reach to a certain level. The gestation period from 0 to 1 takes time. So you have to handhold them, build them confidence. You have to be with them for a longer duration compared to a typical startup. So I think these things I can't say on paper, but we put lot of effort in handholding these entrepreneurs for a longer duration. So simply the entrepreneurs who have started from our first cohort in 2018, they still work with us. And we are still part of the journey. They still call us on a daily basis. They ask many things. We support them throughout without any financial consideration. I mean, might be a question on sustainability, but then we have to handhold them for a longer duration. And you know what has come out beautifully out of this is that more than 70% of our entrepreneurs have more than 3 years of sustainability. They are creating jobs. They are raising funds. They might not be scaling that ways, but I think we are happy if they are able to sustain doing profits, making profits, and creating some jobs.
That's really inspiring to know. Jeremy, one last comment from you. Probably we'll have to close this panel. It was going great. I had not many questions, but unfortunately for the lack of time. But what differences you see from where you come from in the US ecosystem, and you see obviously Ahmedabad again, great city in terms of having family business kind of legacy over there. So do you see things changing? Do you see any kind of challenges there that you, now that you have plans to do things differently, or any learnings that you wish to build there and, you know, imbibe into the whole ecosystem?
So Ahmedabad has a really rich, I think, and historic position in the startup ecosystem. From having CIIE to IMA Ventures to iCreate, GUSEC, and the other peers in the Ahmedabad ecosystem that are here. We collaborate a lot. I think there's actually a growing space tech ecosystem in Ahmedabad, in the Ahmedabad region, thanks to IMA Ventures' recent investments. We had a space tech demo night where we had the entrepreneurs come together and collaborate with the astrophysics department of our university, the International Center for Space and Cosmology. So that was really interesting. We also held an event called Code and Co-working. So it's a moving event. So we get about 10 different partner incubators that will share the invitation to all of their network, and then we all convene at one location. We do co-working, we do AI workshops, and then in the evening, the latest AI startups will do a 5-minute pitch and 5 minutes of Q&A. Last couple things here. One, we've done a souk for small businesses. So not just the tech-enabled startups, which is definitely something that we focus on when we're working with the government bodies, but there's plenty of small businesses that are craft businesses, or they're selling basic products. It's kind of like a garage startup, but we give them tabling at our cafe. And before Diwali, we had a pre-Diwali souk. So they, instead of getting the gifts from Amazon, then people are buying them from the local vendors. Last, I would just like to say that we've launched one thing called Ecosystem Connect, which is a monthly convening of all of the leaders of the ecosystem at one place to have lunch together. Just having a meal together makes a big difference. And then the last thing is this new Bharat Innovation Passport, which is the result of some of the discussions that we've had here today. If you're interested, there's 3 verticals there. There's one which is the passport, which is a shared services between incubation and innovation facilities. The second is Biosangam, which will be a collaborative biotech micro accelerator. And the third is a Bharat Innovation and Incubation Fellowship, where we'll have enablers, incubator managers that will rotate to different incubators and then write a collaborative ecosystem report and publish it. So if you're interested in that, you can check out bharatinnovationpassport.com.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thank you. On that note, we'll have to close this panel. I don't think we will have time for taking any audience question. So if you have any question for the aspiring emerging incubators from Tier 2, Tier 3 cities, I would urge that please connect with these stalwarts after the session is over. And I would like to thank, on behalf of the organizers and ISBA, great sharing the stage with you and hearing all your thoughts. Thank you so much, and a big round of applause, please.
Thank you so much for this wonderful session. Now, I would like to request our former to felicitate Dr. Suresh, Dr. Anand sir.
good morning, everyone. So today, this fireside chat is about the triple helix model, which we discussed a lot yesterday about industry, academia, and startup ecosystem. So we have Dr. Archana here, who has 24 years of experience in this entire ecosystem. She has diverse background in the industry, academia, or also she has worked with government of Karnataka too. So I would let Dr. Archana to talk about herself, introduce about her experience so far, and then we can move on.
Thank you, Bhavna. So let me start with introducing myself. This is a different model that we have today now. I just was asked to talk more about the work that I have been doing in IIC and what have been done in government. To start with, I'll say that I was born and brought up in Bangalore, did my engineering in industrial engineering and management, then moved on to do my master's in University of Central Florida, US. After that, I worked there for about 15 years in a corporate company, where my roles were, from an analyst to a problem manager. We were solving problems. We were not creating problems. It was titled as problem manager because it was based on a process improvement model called ITIL. After that, we as a family moved back to India. Our parents were getting old and we thought, India is the best place, abhi ghum gaye, pura desh dekh liya, world. We should settle back in India. So we came back. After coming back, I started my own company called VAC Consulting. It was more to do with bringing speakers from US and holding workshops here. For some reason, it didn't work well. I incurred loss, and I don't have any shame in saying that I closed down that company, which actually led to a thought that why don't I research on women entrepreneurship? So failure is not that bad after all, right? It can lead to new opportunities. So I started my, teaching in a prestigious engineering college in Bangalore. And along with that, I was doing my PhD. My research was on women entrepreneurship. And by the time I finished my PhD, I was offered to serve government of Karnataka. I was part of national education policy. The then government had a flagship project of bringing all the state universities under one single umbrella. We had 32 state universities and 4,700 colleges, which were reporting to higher education department. So I served as the senior consultant to the higher education department, and we made the calendar of events for all of these universities to start at the same time, with the admissions to the academics, to the examination. We digitized the entire system. So I'm very proud in saying that Karnataka is probably the only state in India which has done that, where the entire calendar of events for these many colleges are, same. I was part of developing that ERP tool for the state. That actually gave me a very good exposure to how the government system works. My exposure with the corporate, where it was very focused on a very niche area with a single project where we don't get to know where these things are getting applied. Government gave me a very good exposure. And then after that, government changed. NEP became SEP, and a lot of things started changing. And so I decided to move out, and I joined Indian Institute of Science. It has been my 3 years journey with the Indian Institute of Science. I'm part of Interdisciplinary Center for Energy Research. We do a whole lot of research in renewable energy, solar, wind energy, thermal energy. I'm also into alternate fuels. In the last 3 years, I have started 2 companies. One is on low carbon fuel, suppliers. We are trying to build a marketplace. It is incubated in Indian Institute of Science, and the other company is Parimarga. It is actually looking into entrepreneurship, focused on women, and it is also incubated in US, Singapore. And recently, I have been working on a project with Karnataka Renewable Energy Development Limited, CREDL, in setting up their incubation center. We have partnered with IIMB for the operational aspect, and we also have partnered, they have partnered with us, Indian Institute of Science, and also UNSW Australia to do the technical support. So, yeah.
That's quite a journey, right? From coming back from US, setting in India, and also working with government directly. So you have seen all the aspects of this helix system, right? So what do you think is different in each aspect? What is your experience working with industry, then coming here working with government, and then working with academia? So what's the difference that you find in these three different ecosystem altogether?
That's a very good question, Bhavna. And I always wonder, where is that? There is a lot of gap, I see, to be honest. From a researcher perspective, we always look into publishing papers. We research in our own pace. The timing sometimes is off when compared to the speed that industry works. Industry is into fast pace. They want the product ready. They want the IP. They don't want things to be disclosed. Versus researchers, the moment they come up with some idea, the paper is published, right? So sometimes we are off with that. And when it comes to government, some of these policies doesn't trickle down to all levels. Communication doesn't happen from the top to bottom and bottom to top. So I feel if we could focus more on bringing everybody together. For example, I saw that in the many of the panel discussions from yesterday, ISBA ensured that there were government representation, there was academia representation, and also from the corporates. So that is the balance that we have to bring in. One is the timing. If we could align research and corporate, that would help. The other one is the awareness. We need to create that awareness, and that can be done by the platforms like this, bringing all of these entities. Triple Helix talks about having government, industry, and academia all together to create that knowledge-based society, right? So, yeah.
That's very thoughtful. But in terms of, since you mentioned about corporate aligning with research institutes or academia, what has been your experience with IISc? Like, how have you incorporated corporate vision into IISc's research? If you can also tell us about your initiatives that you have led in IISc Bangalore.
One of the corporate shell is heavily involved in the research with our department, and I can pick some examples like we are looking into nitrogen, we are looking into green hydrogen, and the corporates want to actually collaborate with the researchers and vice versa as well. But the timing, the pace is sometimes off. For example, we are getting into researching on having zinc-ion batteries, if we can get away from the lithium-ion batteries, we have dependency with other countries on that. The research is going on, but there is a lot of pressure from the corporate as well to speed up the process and get the prototype out and commercialize the product. So that's always been there, the pacing and the collaboration. But within IISc, I should say that we have set up a good ecosystem where we, from the day one, when the idea comes in, we collaborate with the companies, and we keep them in the campus and interact with them, and ensure that our students, be it the PhD or the MTech students, are on those projects. They are contributing their part, and the researchers or professors are on top of these projects, and we keep the corporates informed about the progress, and they in turn come back, and every month we usually have one-on-one meetings with them. We bring in these, we call them PIs, principal investigators, from their end to give talks from their research, being in the corporate, what is that they are observing, and we educate our students, and the professors also get updated. So the communication is the key thing.
So these corporates, so for example, you have the research ecosystem set, right? Now people are talking about that translating research into commercialization, developments, entrepreneurship. That is also something that every university is working on. So a lot of incubators here are academic incubators where they are dealing with researchers every day. So even in my university, we have a lot of researchers. So aligning them into this ecosystem where the commercialization can happen, the developments can happen, or also some entrepreneurship policies can be developed for staff-led innovation and entrepreneurship. So how this ecosystem works at IISc, and if you can give us some specific examples, like in some sort where the specific initiative has been taken or the policies have been developed in the ecosystem, so that these enablement can happen. So if you can share the lights on that.
I can talk about the project that I am involved in. There are two major incubators within Indian Institute of Science. One is the FSID, Foundation for Science and Innovation Development, and the other one is the Art Park, which focuses more on the robotic area. So my company is actually incubated in FSID, and how we actually are looking at some of the things. For example, I'll take the alternate fuels. We came up with this marketplace for alternate fuels, be it the bioethanol, biomethanol, biodiesel. India is going to be leading in these alternate fuels in the coming years. We are also looking at waste to energy, where we use biomass to convert green hydrogen. Every day, I think probably it's 1.2 billion tons of biomass annually that India is producing. And it's said that if we can convert this into energy, 40% of our industrial fuels can be accomplished. So having said that, with the company that I've incubated in FSID, we are looking into bringing these low carbon suppliers who are working in silos. We want to bring them on board, get them onto the system, and give them the buyer thing, get them connected to the buyers. That is one of the things that we have seen people struggle getting the projects. One of the speakers yesterday mentioned about it. Don't ask for money, ask for contact, ask for the projects, right? So that's basically how FSID is also looking at. Although it does follow about seed funding, they do give us, and we actually recently got a seed funding from Zerodha. Nikhil Kamath started that Zerodha company, and they specifically are looking into climate tech, and they actually funded us. So that's how it has been within IISc.
You funded your startup or the incubation center for supporting?
It came through the incubation center, but they were specifically looking for the sustainability, climate tech startups.
Great. And you also mentioned that you're leading some initiatives on women entrepreneurship. So can you talk about that?
Definitely. That is my favorite topic, actually. So let me ask you a question, okay? I'll tell you a story first and then I'll ask you a question. I got up today, got up with a little mild headache, went to the pharmacy, got a, paracetamol. I see Biocon. I come back, take the tablet, and, when you take the tablet and you have to dispose the thing, you use a pedal with the trash can with the pedal. You press that, you put the trash, and you get ready to come to the conference, nice sari. I was getting compliments with the sari that I was wearing. You wear that, and then you put on the makeup, you use Nika, and then you get a call from your mother saying, I need to travel to Ayodhya. Then you call up Trilophilia, and then son calls up. He says, I want something, sandwich or something, please order, mom. And I call up the burger company. What is that one thing that you see in common in all of these companies? Can you think about it? Anybody in all are women-led companies. So this is something that I wanted to tell today, that yes, women are being encouraged and they are getting into entrepreneurship, but I do see very less presence in energy and electronics area, where women are not seen that much, women entrepreneurs. But is it new to women entrepreneurship? Is it new to women? No. We have seen that women have been in the world of science back even when the 5,000 years back, the epic days, right? And many of you can attest to it. One of the examples I could talk about is the cloning. There is a story that comes in Puranas where Surya is married to Sanjana. Because Surya is so hot, Sanjana decides to clone herself as Chaya. So, cloning is not new to us. It was done 5,000 years back. Then again, if you come into Mahabharata, where Gandhari ties, right, around the thing, and she actually gives birth to 100 kids. And it is said that she put part of her in 100 different clarified buttered bottle, which after 2 years of incubation, one after the other, babies were born. So this is nothing but the recent IVF concepts. These were not new to India. We've been scientifically strong. We've been in this area. And if you take some examples, like we always study about the other one, which I actually specifically mentioned when I was talking about the trash can, the pedal trash can. Any of you in the hall here know who invented that? It was invented by a woman called Julian Gilbert. We study her case study in operations management, and she delivered 12 kids, cheaper by the dozen. How many of you have watched that movie? Yeah. Her story is in that movie where she loses her husband early on, how to manage 12 kids. She just comes up with concepts in her kitchen where she organizes everything. Its reachability is easier. Those concepts are done in the workplace and in manufacturing world even till date. So women have been in this entrepreneurial operations management. It's engraved in their DNA, is what I wanted to say.
So you also mentioned you have led some initiatives in this domain to support women. So what all initiatives are there?
So one of the recent ones that we have been doing is with the green hydrogen. We see with the biomass we are generating green hydrogen, and this green hydrogen is fed into the machinery which actually disposes sanitary pads, and we have implemented this indigenous system in government girls school, high school and girls colleges. This is part of Parimarga that I was saying, where we want to encourage women into clean environment, and also start thinking about climate tech, which the other company is into. So yeah.
Great. Now coming back to this, the industry academia linkages. So, do you think there are the industries are willing to work with academia a lot more, and they have? If you can tell us about any industries who have come and initiated any project, research project, and also some initiatives which are focused on startups specifically in the ecosystem. So, if you have any examples of such cases, if you can share.
Well, that is the one where I said, Shell has a big presence in IISc, Indian Institute of Science. We have many such companies which are associated with Boeing, is associated with the aerospace. They are looking into SAF fuels, and many companies are in the campus. Bosch has its own center of excellence within campus, where we collaborate with the researchers, and ideas are supported jointly, worked together, and they come up with the products. One gap that I see is that it is not specifically to IISc, but any other institutes and incubators, is the validation part. We have good research labs, we have good corporates and good industries, but there is a bit of a gap where the validation has to be done. Having sandbox or test labs, test beds, those are something that we should be looking at. We still are not there yet. Yes, everybody is talking about it, but how many of them are actually speeding up the process of piloting? That is still a question.
Amazing, great insights, Archana. We can just open the floor for questions if there are any. Do we have any questions here for Dr. Archana?
So in the meantime, I just want to add another point where the industry has supported academia is many of their CSR funding. For example, Shell has funded their CSR on green skilling, and we run those MTech programs for them, where the curriculum is purely curated around the energy sector. We've been having good enrollments since last year. This year was a little down because I think there is a perception that once they do this program, will they get placements. So I really encourage the startups who are in the climate zone to encourage such students and hire them, and it would actually complete the cycle, right? Where we are promoting green energy and sustainability. We should also ensure that our students get placements when they are coming from the energy background. So.
Yeah, so I come from an academic incubator. I'm a teacher like most of us here probably. And I have this question about academia and its placement between the innovation, the industry and the startup ecosystem. So with the industry, the problem is they expect the academia to prepare their workforce with due respects. They expect that we reduce their time to deploy and we give them industry skills. Whereas I see education as a process of growth of an individual, learning about themselves, discovering themselves, finding their calling and such. And the industry expects us to upskill them. On the other hand, with the startup ecosystem, startup ecosystem requires people to fail fast, fail in the right ways, and discover where they should go. Whereas the education system is built around not failing. So this way, both ways in academia, on one hand, it doesn't really supply, so to say, quote unquote, supply what the industry wants, and it doesn't also supply what the startups want. So what kind of transformation is required in understanding this nexus between the triple helix? And by the way, thank you for, thanks to ISBACON for this topic at all.
Thank you for the question. I always say this to my students, when I go out and talks on entrepreneurship. It is okay to fail, and it is okay to fail early. Especially failing in campus is the best thing, right? The research academia is probably not talking about failing because I think they are looking at the subject. Don't fail in the subject. right? I feel that studies is a must. In fact, recently I was sharing the dais with one of the I don't want to name, but he only studied eighth grade, and he is now a big entrepreneur. He has opened probably more than 25 institutions across Bangalore. A very big guy, and he was mentioning that, guys, why are you studying? Look at me. But not everybody can become Steve Jobs, right? Not everybody can become that person. So failing in the subject is probably not what academicians want, but from a entrepreneurial perspective, failing early on will actually lead them to pivoting, a little bit, thinking out of the box, which is okay. And I think as a society and as a supporter of entrepreneurship, we should all accept that. And I don't have any shame in saying that, yes, I failed early on with my own startup. And that led to, my research in women entrepreneurship. And now I have 2 companies. I won't say it is making any profit, but yeah, it is there.
Yeah, I have. Add on to this. We have been also dealing with industries for various projects here in our university, also and in our startup ecosystem also. So when it comes to industry, we first try to understand what is their requirement, what stage of innovations that they want. If they want a ready to be commercialized or ready to be deployed or ready to be customized, then we do the entire program for them, where startups can also get the opportunity to deploy their solutions, get the pilots from them, and then they can also show the first check, right, to the other client. But we have to be the middleman to convert, whether the industry is relevant for startup at this stage, or whether they should go towards the research ecosystem altogether. And there also, like you mentioned, that industry wants to create that labor, the man force here for their innovation. But, there's a set guidelines where, we also intervene with our researchers, where the industry's expectation can be met with the research projects, and then the project can be deployed in a specified time. So we have to be somewhere in between, where we can divert these industry projects either towards startups or towards the ecosystem. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, so, thank you. In the interest of time, can we
last question?
Yeah. So last question, please.
Yeah. So hi, Gaurang here. I just wanted to know any exciting projects or maybe upcoming opportunities that you're working on, which you would like to share with the audience.
So we are working towards the national green hydrogen mission, and we are heavily promoting on that. One of the projects that we have taken up is the levelized cost for hydrogen, where we are looking at coming up with predictive analytics, and we are definitely going to use agentic AI and all that deep tech that everybody is talking about. That is one project where we are hiring people, and we want to get there. India is moving fastly towards that, and I can I'll use the statement that Dr. Pannirselvam made in the cab this morning. आप रुकोगे या नहीं रुकोगे, startup तो नहीं रुकेगा अभी, right? So that's the statement he made. He said he didn't get a chance to say that, and I've stolen your line. So yes, that is one project that I would want to mention, where we are working towards. The other one is the application of these green hydrogen, where we are looking at having a self-sustained city which would run the automobiles on green hydrogen, which will run the machineries on green hydrogen. We are looking at using the STP water, the sewage water, to derive this green hydrogen and apply it, make it an indigenous model to run this, like the sanitary pads. So yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Archana, for all your insights and wonderful discussion. And we look forward to connecting with you offline.
Thank you, Bhavna. You were wonderful. We just put this together in a short span of time. And thank you, ISBA, for giving me an opportunity to be here amongst the knowledgeable people around. So thank you.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Archana and Ms. Bhavna Pandya, for this brilliant session. And to felicitate, I would request Mr. Ashish Garde, Director, Magic Incubation Center, to please come forward. Thank you very much. And next we have in line the power talk. What makes a team work when everything goes wrong? Right? When you work with a team, certain things can work well, sometimes it can go haywire. So we have a brilliant speaker, a celebrity I would say, Colonel Kaushal Kashyap, founder of Grey Walk Corporate and Security Services Private Limited and Monks and Warriors. Of Assam, he is retired, decorated army with over 20 years of experience in high-risk operation, including services in Manipur, Assam, Eastern Ladakh, Jammu and Kashmir, and the UN mission in Congo. A National Defense Academy and DSSC alumni, he commanded the Elite 52 Special Action Group and National Security Guard and was awarded the Shaurya Chakra in 2008, along with multiple commendations from Indian Army, NSG, UN and the government of Mongolia. After taking early retirement in 2023, he founded Grey York Security, runs the YouTube channel Monks and Warriors, and inspiring youth through stories of real life heroes.
So in fact, I'll start with thanking ISBA and Dr. Prashad Shetty, Dr. Prashad Menon, Dr. Swapnil Sinha for having me here. In fact, when I saw the list of speakers who were coming here, I was absolutely awed. And yes, but probably I'm one of the most regular ones here. This is the third time I'm interacting. And before I start, I would like to thank aap sabko, everybody who is associated with the startup industry, the incubators. Seriously, you guys are doing a fantastic work here. क्योंकि अगर देश को किसी चीज की रिक्वायरमेंट है आज के डेट में, if there is something that is going to take and transform this country into what we want it to be, it is this startup industry. Do you agree with me? आवाज ही नहीं है, सब ठंडे पड़ गए. Yes, that is what it is. And I have a special place in my heart for the startup industry, because अगर मेरे को लाइफ में लगता है, you know my background of special forces and all, and agar mere ko life mein lagta hai ki something is as challenging or sometimes even more challenging than leading a special forces team, it is running a startup. It is sheer chaos. Seriously, it requires a very special kind of a power. It requires a very special kind of an energy to run a startup. Yeah, do you agree with me? So okay, I'll just give a little background of people who do not maybe understand the kind of special forces or my background, so that you will connect better on what exactly, and when I say something, where exactly is it coming from. And let me start by telling you, a retired man with a mic is a difficult man. I hope somebody is keeping track of the time, because we'll lose sense of time, and somebody has to stop me. अगर fed up हो जाए मेरी कहानियों से तब भी रोक दीजिएगा, और अगर आपको लगता है कि टाइम ज़्यादा हो गया है, I'm sure there's a whole lot of we already delayed. So yes, so I'm from the Special Forces. My unit is 21 Special Forces, 21 Para Special Forces. It is based on the East. And Special Forces क्या है? Special Forces those lot of चुनिंदा लोग होते हैं पूरे आर्मी के अंदर में से. The most motivated of the people, they are selected. They undergo a very difficult probation training, जिसमें से चुन के लेते हैं. लेने के बाद में they are given the best of the equipment, they're given the best of the training, and then they are given the best of the men, and they're dropped behind the enemy lines. Surrounded by the enemy, you're supposed to fight, execute missions which is going to change the outcome of the war. आप ऐसे मिशन पे भेजे जाते हैं, we are fighting surrounded with the enemy. आप अपना रेडियो सेट ऑन करते हैं to call for a air strike. You don't know which drone is catching your movement here. 3 heat signals detected here, Sida, aerial bombardment, UCAVs on you, dog squads chasing you. That is the kind of life Special Forces guys lead. I was fortunate, of course, I did not go to war. I was successful, I got the Shaurya Chakra award, and then I was picked up to command one of the most elite commando units of the country, that was the 52 Special Action Group of the National Security Guard. That I was heading a counter-terrorist operation, the things like the 26/11 attacks. Yeah, if there's an attack like that, my team would go. And the worst, it is the only unit that is mandated for a counter-hijack. If you see a counter-hijack, aircraft gets hijacked, there was nobody else in the country mandated or trained or equipped to undertake an operation like that. So there I have handled pressure, जो पता चलता है कि अगर कश्यप fails, there's an opportunity. 20 साल में एक बार होगा. And if Kashyap fails that day, it's not Kashyap failing. It is the country which fails. आपके neighbors हंसेंगे आपके पास कि कमांडो, ये रहा आपका कमांडो. Why I am telling you all this is, of course, for a startup, you guys are much way beyond what I can ever bring to table. But here I can share the experience of leading a high sensitive team like that. I'm sure all of you will agree कि अगर सबसे efficient small team of manpower है, it is the Special Forces Squad जिसके मैं आपको बात कर रहा था, जो दुश्मन के एरिया के अंदर जाके ऑपरेट करता है, yeah, without any support, and it fights and it gets back. It doesn't know when, but it is going to come back. Yeah. So with that experience of leading a team of Special Forces, the most efficient team of manpower, I can share with you कि what matters जब everything else is falling across you, जब कुछ काम नहीं कर रहा है, तो क्या चीज है वो जो काम करेगी. Yeah, with that small background, I'll come on. What I'm going to do, I'm going to narrate a few stories, and we'll see how we can draw some lessons. So before I start, if I had to pose you a question, कि वो क्या गुरु मंत्र है जो सब कहीं भी आप डाल दो, that is going to work. तो गुरु मंत्र है, when everything else is falling, when things are not moving. Very nice, madam. Thank you. Okay. Before I come up with my version, बहुत ज़्यादा हो जाएगा तो please pardon me. I'll come back to this. I'll come back to this. You'll tell me what the answer is. Sometime around 2008-10, Microsoft was having one of its worst times. चेन्नई के अंदर they had 2 stations. दोनों को merge करके they were trying to make one. They were introducing a new technology. एक station का head, he had committed suicide. The other head of the station, he gave up his resignation and he left without handing over. So Microsoft was, अभी पता नहीं क्या करना है. So they found somebody Singapore में, Singapore office का, and this guy was sent कि जाइए, you go and take control of that place. ऐसे ऐसे करके है, they are somewhere out there in the hellhole. Get them out and see what you can do. So this guy comes. He lands. The next day, चेन्नई में सबसे बुरी बारिश शुरू हो जाती है. Day 1, बारिश थमने का नाम नहीं. Raining, raining, raining. Day 2 continued. Day 3 continued. Now this guy, I am अहमदाबाद का पढ़ा हुआ, मैं ऐसे कैसे रह सकता हूँ? I have been given a task. I have to do something. I can't just keep sitting here in my room and keep hoping that weather will open up और मैं कुछ करूँगा. कुछ तो करना है, कुछ करना है. So he still had that phone जो सिंगापुर में काम करता था, that he could communicate on VoIP. He starts calling up everyone, everybody, about 200 people in his team. He starts calling up everybody. He maps them. ये कहाँ, ये कहाँ, ये कहाँ, ये कहाँ. Then he sees the pattern. ये सारे जो हैं उसके ऑफिस के आसपास ही, they are all generally bachelors, young boys, young girls, सारे के सारे कहाँ रहते हैं. मैप करता है. And he sees कि okay यहीं पे है. He asks the hotel, श्रीमान आपकी सबसे बड़ी गाड़ी कौन सी है? एक इनोवा है. बोले ये मुझे दीजिए. He takes that Innova, he packs up his laptop, a small suitcase, something to live out of, and he moves on to the office. वहां जाता है, he calls up everyone again and tells them the boss is here, everybody report to office. Chennai is seeing one of the worst floods. बॉस पहुंच गया ऑफिस में, सारे एक एक दो करके अपना अपना सूटकेस लेकर के पहुंच जाते हैं. The office was in one of the most inundated, low-lying places, but then they were somewhere on the top floors. तो ऊपर ठीक था, ऊपर वहां इलेक्ट्रिसिटी थी, ऊपर ही स्टॉक्ड अप खाना पीना राशन. एंड आज के जनरेशन को इससे ज़्यादा क्या चाहिए? खाने के बिना रह सकते हैं, पीने के बिना रह सकते हैं, बट वाईफाई के बिना नहीं रह सकते हैं. He got all of these. So these guys who came over, they were more than happy कि अरे वाह, ये तो सही है, बाकी सबके फोन भी काम नहीं कर रहे हैं, यहाँ पे तो मैं व्हाट्सएप भी देख रहा हूँ, यहाँ पे तो नेटफ्लिक्स में मूवी भी देख रहा हूँ. And everybody there, they started having a gala time. They start enjoying. They start getting into good games, मजे करने लगे, और धीरे 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 जब मजे खत्म हो गए तो उन्होंने काम करना शुरू किया. Yeah, काम करना शुरू किया, and trust me, in 15-16 days, people saw a difference. The EVPs, the CVPs, they started visiting. Senior officials, they started visiting, and this was presented as a case study. That station never looked back in terms of performance after that. What was the difference? Before I comment on what is the difference, you know who this guy was? Any guesses? This guy was Major Dipinder Singh Sengar, Sena Medal of 21 Para Special Forces. You can Google and you can look him up. मेरे यूनिट के हैं, one of the legends. When I joined, not just me, everybody who joins, he hears about him. ये बंदा होता था 48 kg का आदमी, 40 kg का पिट्ठू पहन के कारगिल की चढ़ाई में सबसे पहले दौड़ता था. जवान उठ से, अरे बाप रे, ये कहाँ चल रहा है ऐसे? Yeah, that was how he was. Commando school में he was the first in every run. People to beat him, they would उसके रूम में झांक करके देखते थे खा क्या रहा है. रात में च्यवनप्राश खा रहा होता था. यार हम सब च्यवनप्राश खाएंगे. One of the operations, we moved into Assam, somewhere close by, not very far from here. He gets shot. गोलियां लग गई पूरे pelvis area में. He recovers. पूरा इंटेस्टाइन बाहर आ गया. इंटेस्टाइन को बाहर कोट में छुपा करके यहाँ से वो घूमने जाता था. शादी अटेंड की है हमारे ऑफिसर्स की. I'll not get into all these details. ये सब you'll find there's an OTT series जीत की जिद उनके ऊपर बनी हुई है. Yeah, so I'll not go into all the details of what he did. He got shot a second time, ठीक होने के बाद में. And this time when he got shot, army said, we cannot keep you. मतलब आप physically, you cannot be in special forces. You can join something else. So he said, life है तो special forces है. वहाँ से ex-NDA, somebody like me, जिसने life में सोचा नहीं कि फौज के बाहर क्या करना है. He cracks IIM, Ahmedabad. He appears for 16 colleges. He clears all 16. Then he does very well there. He's Microsoft, IBM and all that. So he is the guy who went and changed that thing. Why am I narrating this story? I'll come back to my question. What is that Guru Mantra that is always going to work when nothing else works? Mindset, and it is a leadership. You find the right leader for a job, everything else, he will make things happen. Second, if I have to ask you, that is a team, a supporting team. But again, if the team doesn't work, it is the leader. You have the right leader. You have the right leader who has got a knack, जो बदमाश भी है थोड़ा मेरी तरह. उसको पता है pressure points कहाँ है, उसको पता है pain points कहाँ है कि नहीं? He can get any team start to work. So the first lesson I want to tell you is, the first thing is leadership. Now, if you want to delve a little more into this story, कि what actually changed, क्या हुआ? One thing you cannot miss is the restlessness. क्या restlessness? Did you observe that? वो आया, रह नहीं सकता, मैं क्यों यहाँ? The same guy here in operations, he could not stay. छुट्टी से आ रहा था वो वापस, जब खबर मिली यहाँ से रंगिया के पास में कि ऐसे करके खबर है, वो सिविल ड्रेस में गया जब the first time he got shot. How many SMEs here? Just 3-4. So I can get away with something actually. SMEs में मेरे पापा बहुत गंदा सा कहावत है, थोड़ा सुनने के लिए खराब लगता है. Yeah. So there is a कहावत. My father would tell me, जार खाबर जीवर मन ही हागोतो आजरे बन. Should I repeat that? I don't want to translate it as it is, but I'll tell you, it generally says कि जिसको खाने पीने का मन है ना, so old time जो वो saying, वो when he sits for that potty, पहले जब field में जाते थे तब भी he's picking up some shrubs. So I said this so that you go home and you'll remember कि ये फालतू की बातें करता है, but वो याद, it'll remind you of what I'm trying, the message I'm trying to drive. That restlessness in a leader, that is something. A man on a mission cannot rest आप स्टार्टअप इंडस्ट्री में हैं, आपको अपने स्टार्टअप को हिट बनाना है और आप यहाँ पे नेटफ्लिक्स के चैनल देख रहे हैं. नो, आई हैव नथिंग अगेंस्ट नेटफ्लिक्स, सीरियसली. बट देन आपके अंदर अगर जुनून है, कभी ब्रेक के लिए इट्स ओके, बट इट कैन नॉट बिकम योर रूटीन. यू कैन नॉट बी एट ईज, यू कैन नॉट बी रिलैक्स. दैट इज द फायर यू हैव टू लुक फॉर. किस बंदे में फायर है टू बी सक्सेसफुल? अगर बंदा आराम कर रहा है, वहां पे बैठ करके अपने मोबाइल में गेम खेल रहा है, ही इज नॉट गोइंग टू बी सक्सेसफुल. नो, यू डोंट हैव टाइम फॉर एनी डैम शिट. Okay, keep moving. Next point is organizing your thoughts, identifying the pattern. Situation को identify करना. He saw कि अच्छा problem कहाँ है यहाँ पे? Problem है ये बच्चे सारे young लोग हैं. इनको एक जगह, अभी हर जगह चेन्नई बंद हो गया है, खाने पीने के लिए नहीं है. मैं एक जगह इकट्ठा कराऊंगा, इनको खाना पीना दूंगा. They are young, उनको मोटिवेट, गेम्स खेलेंगे, एक साथ रहेंगे, खुशी खुशी. The camaraderie, the brotherhood. And the last thing in this story that you can't miss is you look after your men and they will work. You create, as a leader, you are to create an environment जहाँ चीजें अपने आप काम करेंगी. Things will prosper. Yeah, so we'll move on to my next story. Moving on to my next story, leader तो हमने identify कर लिया या बाकी वाले तो ऐसे ही additional points थे. अगर एक अच्छा leader है तो वो leader में ऐसी क्या खास बात है that will make him successful? अभी सबको पता चल गया कि इसका जवाब देके फायदा नहीं है, या अपना ही बोलेगा, या मैं अपना ही बोलता हूँ. So yes, yeah, lot of things. But we'll revisit this. Okay, we'll revisit this after I narrate the story. 1971 April, March 25th को Pakistan launched Operation Searchlight. Heard of that? अवामी लीग जीत गई थी इलेक्शंस, मुजीबुर रहमान जीत गया था. One of the worst genocides, पाकिस्तानी आर्मी ने एक साइड से मारना शुरू किया. They started from Dhaka. Every man they could find, they killed. Every woman they could find, they raped. More than lakhs of people were murdered. Tens of thousands of women were violated. पूरी की पूरी refugee starts pouring into India. Indira Gandhi, she was the Prime Minister, Srimati Indira Gandhi, she was furious. She called the immediate cabinet meeting. Cabinet meeting में chief को भी बुलाया. And the chief was Field Marshal Manekshaw. फाइल ऐसे फेंकते हुए कहती है, I'm sure you would have seen that movie. I don't know इस तरीके से बताया कि नहीं. But she throws the file like this and she says, yes chief, what are we doing about it? Chief देखता होता है, what do you want me to do about it? होता है ये रेफ्यूजी का आना तो आर्मी का काम नहीं है ना, आर्मी ने तो जंग लड़ना है. होता है, if the army does something, there's going to be war. So Mrs. Gandhi says, so be it, let there be war. तो मानेकशॉ कहते हैं कि मैडम हैव यू रेड द बाइबल? मानेकशॉ बाइबल में लिखा है लेट देयर बी लाइट. गॉड कहते हैं एंड देयर इज लाइट. यू आर द प्राइम मिनिस्टर. यू से लेट देयर बी वॉर एंड देयर इज गोइंग टू बी वॉर. आर वी प्रिपेयर्ड फॉर वॉर? आज अप्रैल है. 2 महीने के अंदर द passes on the Himalayas are going to open. If the Chinese mobilize, you will know कि हम लड़ाई यहाँ करें या लड़ाई के लिए मैं फोर्स वहां भेजूं. 2 महीने में मॉनसून शुरू हो जाएगा. Monsoon in Bangladesh is like it becomes in one big huge water body. They are just pockets of land. High land कहीं कहीं पे है. आपकी forces उन high lands पे isolate हो जाएगी. There will be no logistic supply. And the Pakistani Air Force, which is better off than ours, is going to have a field day. Just आएगी और सिर्फ नॉकआउट करेगी. Then he turns to the defense minister, says कि मेरे armored regiment के अंदर I need to have 45 tanks. As on date, I just have 8 tanks. कहता ये कैसे आप बात कर रहे हैं सैम जी? कहता सर देख लो आप, how many times I have requested you. You do not have the funds coming. War is not joke कि ऐसे ही आप चले जाएंगे war पे. Then he turns to the agriculture minister and says कि सर आज के डेट पे, oh sorry, he doesn't say sir, he was very particular about it. जो भी है, he says आज के डेट पे if there is war, I am going to need all the load carriers to transport my men into battle. आपका फसल कटा है, Your fasal is going to rot lying out there in the fields because it will not reach the market because the vehicles aren't going to need all that. Srimati Gandhi filed ban kiya, bola, dismiss everybody, I want everybody out. And when everybody was leaving, he tells Field Marshal Manekshaw ki, you stay back. And again, Field Marshal Manekshaw being Manekshaw, he says, Madam, you want me to render my resignation on terms of physical ground or mental ground? So कहते हैं, no, shut up, sit down. Then they have a discussion. And then, you know what the history is, right? 3rd of December, Pakistan preempted the war. In 13 days, 93,000 surrenderies. A new nation was born. Whatever be the state. But that is one decisive victory जो कभी नहीं हुआ है. And not just talking about the Indian Army. Global victories में से एक गिना जाता है ये. 93,000 people हमारे forces से ज़्यादा थे वहाँ पे वो. But they were beaten. तो ये स्टोरी मैं आपको क्यों सुना रहा हूँ? Now coming back to my home. What are the lessons that we draw? Anyone can help me with this? Sorry, sir? Yes, sir. Vision. With vision, I would like to say it's professionalism. आपको अगर आपके चार्टर के बारे में नहीं पता है, लीडर्स क्या करना है? लीडर ने लीड करना है ना, तो लीड करने के लिए क्या करना है आपको? You should know the way. That is professionalism. That is vision जो सर कह रहे हैं. अगर आपको लीड करने के लिए रास्ता नहीं पता है, आप इधर उधर भटक रहे हैं, then how will you lead? So a leader, you need to have the most professional guy. He has to be professionally true. तो उसको पता होना चाहिए. The devil lies in detail. ये सब कैसे उसको पता था as a chief? मतलब he didn't have to know all this stuff. कि भैया आपकी गाड़ियां चाहिए होंगे, वहां से पास खुल जाएगा, यहाँ से he knew beforehand before going on to that meeting. This guy knew कि ये क्या बोलने वाली है. तैयारी करके गया था ना. So that is professionalism. Knowing the details. Now, one more thing. You cannot miss something else. If you, this is Manekshaw. If you had to look at the personality of Mrs. Gandhi, Srimati Gandhi, कुछ है वहाँ पे? Anything that you can draw a lesson out of? You imagine a cabinet meeting. सारे बैठे हुए हैं आपको रेस्पेक्ट करने वाले, यस मैम, यस मैम, मैम मैम, यस मैम, यस मैम करने वाले, और उसमें सबके सामने इट इज ऑलमोस्ट लाइक समबडी इंसल्टिंग यू कि मैम यू आर सेइंग दिस एंड इट कैन नॉट हैपन एंड इट दिस टर्म एंड येट शी एक्सेप्टेड. समझ रहे हैं मैं क्या कहने की कोशिश कर रहा हूं आपको? यस, इट रिक्वायर्स अ करेज, अ स्पेशल काइंड ऑफ करेज वेयर योर पर्सनल ईगो इज inferior. What is superior is the interest of the mission, whatever. For your startup, it could be something else. Yeah, interest of the organization comes first. मेरा personal ego, it can wait. ठीक है. इंदिरा गांधी बाद में पे रोक दिया था. Manekshaw का for all you know, but this is not a matter of our discussion today. But that day, he went by what General Manekshaw then he said. That requires a special kind of a courage where you listen to a subordinate and take his idea. You know, ये subject matter specialist है. If I don't listen to him, बात नहीं बनेगी. Can you listen to him? अगर अकबर के कोर्ट में बिरबल is the smartest man, जो सारे डिसीजन में एडवाइस करता है, it does not mean अकबर उल्लू है. समझ रहे हो आप क्या कह रहा हूं मैं? अकबर के कोर्ट में अगर बिरबल is the smartest guy who takes all the decisions, it doesn't mean कि अकबर उल्लू है. He is the smartest guy. As it is said, a smart man hires men smarter than himself to work for him. That is what it is. So yes, Mrs. Gandhi said there is a lot to वो कि भैया, there are a lot of theories. I'll not go into too much of detail इसी के अंदर. So we've spoken about professionalism. Okay, now we'll come to specifics about a startup. Startup में जैसे हमने बात की, सबसे ज्यादा है chaos. Yeah, Okay. So, is there any relation that you would see between chaos and decision? And leadership? chaos और leadership में कोई decision है? मैं इसको दोबारा घुमा के बोलता हूँ, फिर बोले कि इसको बोल के फायदा नहीं है. But okay. When there is no chaos, is there a leader required? Very right, sir. Very right. बट मैं जो पॉइंट मेक करने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ वो थोड़ा सा अलग है. वो ये है, लेट मी मेक इट लिटिल मोर. एक पोस्ट मास्टर है, उसका काम है, चिट्ठी आता है, कहाँ का चिट्ठी है वो स्टैंप लगाना है और भेज देना. कहाँ का चिट्ठी है स्टैंप लगाना है, भेज देना. डू यू नीड ए लीडर देयर? देयर इज अ सिस्टम इन प्लेस, देयर इज अ एसओपी इन प्लेस. यू नीड ए लीडर देयर. पॉइंट आई एम ट्राइंग टू मेक हियर इज यू नीड लीडर्स where you need to take a decision. Are you guys with me, please? आपको जब डिसीजन लेना है ना, तब आपको लीडर चाहिए. सिर्फ अगर एसओपी फॉलो करना है, सिर्फ अगर आदेश का पालन करना है, यू डोंट नीड लीडर्स. तो कोई भी कर लेगा. Sometime around 1800s की बात है. There's a famous general by the name of Prince Frederick Charles in the Austrian court. उनका कोर्ट का बड़ा फेमस इंसिडेंट है. ऑस्ट्रियंस वर लाइक फाइटिंग मशीन. सिर्फ लड़ाई करना है, आपस में लड़ते रहते थे, वो बात अलग है, बट सिर्फ लड़ाई करना है, सिर्फ युद्ध करना है. एंड सो वी डू अ लॉट ऑफ स्टडी ऑन देम. तो उनके कोर्ट का है, दे हैड लॉस्ट ए बैटल नॉट द वॉर. एक जंग हार, एक छोटा सा बैटल हार गए थे. तो दे आर मार्चिंग अप ए कमांडिंग ऑफिसर. उसको बुलाते हैं और बोलते हैं कि व्हाई डिड यू डू दिस? फॉर दिस वी लॉस्ट द बैटल. And this gentleman says, sir, I was only following orders. Sir, I was only following orders. You know what the prince says? The king gave you a commission because he thought you will know when not to obey orders. राजा ने आपको कमीशन, आपको ऑफिसर तब बनाया है क्योंकि उनको लगा कि आपको पता होगा कि आदेश कब पालन करना है, कब पालन नहीं करना है. यू कैनॉट हाइड बिहाइंड एज ए लीडर. यू कैनॉट हाइड बिहाइंड ये तो इसने बोला था, ये तो उसने बोला था, ये तो एसओपी में लिखा है. नहीं, अगर एसओपी में लिखा है, यू डोंट नीड ए लीडर देयर. सो इफ यू आर ट्राइंग टू ड्राइव अ कल्चर ऑफ लीडरशिप, इट इज ओनरशिप. आई एम जस्ट नॉट ट्राइंग टू से कि आप blatantly you can disobey any orders कि नहीं ये तो नहीं होगा. No, that's not what I am trying to say. And neither I am saying that you have to blatantly obey every order. लोग नहीं समझे आप लोग. Yeah, what I am trying to say, orders, SOPs कुछ भी हैं. You are the man on ground. You are to take decision. And whatever decision you take, you have to be responsible for that. कि सही है, मैं orders follow कर रहा हूँ, I am responsible. Orders follow नहीं कर रहा हूँ, yet I am responsible. You cannot hide behind anything. Are you getting what I am trying to say, please? बिल्कुल लकीर के फकीर, एकदम सबसे गलत चीज है ये. आप लोग से ज्यादा the startups are going to face it when they are interacting with, I should not be saying, but government agencies के साथ में. नहीं ये तो लिखा हुआ है वहाँ पे. ऑफिस देखा है ना आप लोगों ने? I am sure you would have seen. ये तो लिखा हुआ है, ये तो भय लिखा हुआ है. उनको बताइए कि जागो. सिर्फ ग्राहक जागने से नहीं होगा, आपको भी जागना पड़ेगा. टॉक अबाउट 1990s, ये मैंने कई जगह बता रखा है. आई एम श्योर आप लोग में से भी कुछ लोगों ने सुना होगा. टॉक अबाउट 1990s, कश्मीर वन ऑफ द वर्स्ट इंसर्जेंसी फेज चल रहा था. हर दिन दे हैड स्टार्टेड विद, कोई भी आर्मी वाला मिलता था, पुलिस वाला मिलता था, ग्रेनेड फेंक के भाग जाते थे. मैसिव कैजुअलिटीज आर्मी वाज बाइंग. And that is the time I'm talking about. And you know what the special forces are. So one of the special forces units, we keep going on operations. वापस आना, जाना, वापस आना, जाना, वापस आना. तो एक नई टीम ऑपरेशन के लिए गई थी वहां पे. And जाते ही, वैसे तो you should not be seen, but these guys were on an area familiarization patrol. वो देखने के लिए गए थे कि एरिया कैसा है. तो ये जाते हैं बाहर चलते हुए. And coincidentally, that was the same time one of the fresh militant groups had just infiltrated from Pakistan and they were on a lookout. और वो बैठे हैं, then suddenly they see कि ये आर्मी के लोग आ रहे हैं, ये नए हैं, इनको भी पता नहीं है. ये पूरा डिप्लॉय होते हैं कि अरे अभी तो मजा आएगा, हम तो आए ही थे और हमें We've got good success. Just before striking, something strikes him. वो कहता है यार एक बार मैं अपने handler से बात कर लेता हूँ. And he communicates on his radio set, which is actually documented and it is recorded. कहता है जनाब ऐसे ऐसे करके सामने है and we're going to give you good news. तो उसका जो पीछे जो handler था, he says कि just describe how they look in that area. I don't think anybody should be there. So he describes कि oh they are all normal people. It's just they are carrying huge rucksack और वो सिर में ना वो green color का कुछ पटका टाइप का बांध रखा है. Now that was the time. These were trademark only of the special forces. We would carry those huge too because we would go out for long durations and we were the only ones who were wearing those patkas. उसका handler कहता है, don't even think of targeting them. They will burn you alive. मत करना, ये special forces हैं. पीछे निकल जाओ. So that was the awe of the special forces. Now, why am I telling this to you? This did not just happen overnight. ये जो माहौल बना ना, this was a deliberate mission by all the special forces guys working out there. तो मैंने आपको बताया था ना, reading of the environment initially. This is what they went there. They read the environment कि माहौल क्या है. माहौल ये है कि militants बिना सिविलियंस के हेल्प के कुछ नहीं कर पाएंगे. मिलिटेंट्स जायजा कैसे लेते हैं? इंटरेक्टिंग विद द सिविलियंस. तो यू हैव टू इन्फ्लुएंस द सिविलियन माइंड एंड टू इन्फ्लुएंस द सिविलियन माइंड्स दे पुट ऑन एक्ट्स, दे डिड व्हाट नॉट टू शो देम यू टेक पंगा विद अस, यू हैड इट मैन. एंड दैट वाज द मैसेज दैट वाज गिवन टू दोस गाइज. व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू टेल यू इज कि आपने माहौल का जायजा लेना बहुत जरूरी है. If you have not, the same thing that Major Singer did. If you do not appreciate the mahol, if you do not appreciate what the situation is all about, I'm going to go all wrong about it. Okay, no, thank you so much. I mean, I'll just say that it's been absolute pleasure being here. And in case we have time, should I wait for anybody to ask me anything? And thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
A very good afternoon to everyone. On behalf of Ministry of Electronics and IT, India AI Mission and MeitY Startup Hub, so I'm very, very pleased to announce that the India AI Impact Summit, as most of you probably already know, is happening on 19th and 20th of February in Bharat Mandapam. And it's going to be a 3-day expo starting 16th, 17th, 18th. And 19th, 20th is the final culmination summit, in which definitely, as of now, we have almost 15 to 20 heads of states attending, and it's going to be a very, very important summit. This is the 4th edition. The last edition happened in France, where our Prime Minister participated in the month of February 2025. In February 2026, we are hosting the 4th edition, and as part of that, there are multiple pre-events. I'm sure you would have come across a lot of them. And what is relevant to us is the mega India AI Pitch Fest that is going to be announced very soon. So it is going to be one of the largest AI startup pitch fest in the country. There will be at least 50 plus venture capitalists present participating in this pitch fest. And ensuring that the pitch fest is, success lies in all of our hands as incubators and accelerators. We will be opening the call for applications for your AI startups to participate. And people, planet, and progress is what the theme of the summit. AI for social good is something that we are looking at. So close to about 100 plus crores of investment is expected in this pitch fest. And ensuring that this is, we are also looking at investment, we are looking at grants, we are looking at grants in kind, which is compute capability and other grants in kind. So I'm requesting all, once the call for application is open, we will share it on the social media, we will share it on the entire network of incubators and accelerators. I seek your support, I seek your participation, and I seek your encouragement to startups to participate in India's largest AI pitch fest. And every one of you should at least nominate 4 or 5 AI deep tech startups in this pitch fest that's going to start in the next couple of days. The call for applications will be open, and we request to amplify this pitch fest in the community of incubators and accelerators. And this is an opportunity to really showcase the India tech capability to the world. And the chosen startups will also be called for the expo and probably the final event as well. So this is a matter of pride of India in showcasing its AI capability to the world. So once again, 19-20th February 2026, Bharat Mandapam, India AI Pitch Fest. The AI Summit is for people, planet and progress, and the theme is AI for social good, AI for impact is what we are looking at. So I request all the incubators, accelerators to kind of be engage and participate and support and make this successful event on behalf of MyIT Startup Hub, India AI Mission, and Ministry of Electronics and IT. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Paneer Selva, for updating us on India AI, which is happening at Bharat Mandapam. And we encourage everyone to join for that great mission. And next, we have a very important discussion coming up, a fireside chat. I request our moderator, Mr. Davinder Singh, CEO, ACIC BMU Foundation, who leads and support early stage innovation, entrepreneurship, social impact ventures with strong experience in incubation, management, startup mentoring, ecosystem development, as he plays a key role in nurturing student-led, community-focused startups. Under his leadership, ACIC BMU continues to foster grassroots innovation through structured programs, partnership, and capacity building efforts. And to begin the session, I request Mr. Swapnil Jain, co-founder Ether Energy, one of India's leading electric vehicle innovators, a core architect behind Ether Engineering and Technology, as he has played a pivotal role in building companies' high-performance EVs, battery systems, and charging infrastructure, known for his deep technical expertise and product-driven leadership. He has been instrumental in shaping India's modern EV ecosystem and advancing clean mobility solutions. And ladies and gentlemen, after this, we will have, please. Can we have a big round of applause first? And after this, let me quickly announce, we will have the valedictory session, so please do not leave. I request everyone to stay tuned until we sign off. Yeah, thank you.
You know, it's a challenge to come after a session, after Colonel Kashyap's session, Joshila's session, and to keep the momentum, it's not so easy. So you really set the bar high up for us. But we have somebody who's full of energy, both physically and literally, and somebody who's really made a change. So Swapnil, we will be jumping straight into the story. Maybe, last evening I met up with him and a couple of people, I just introduced him to them, and then it was like, wow, that fan moment. So pardon me if I have some fan moment kind of a reaction. But something really great, if you could briefly tell what made you start Ather, and the story of yours coming into Ather or starting Ather, and a little bit about how Ather went and became what it is right now. Your market cap at 25,000 crores, and that having achieved amongst large companies, and some of them actually backing you up now. So over to you.
I think the easiest answer here is same, which is restlessness. So I was I had graduated of IIT, and then I was working in a an MNC automotive company. I would sit there and I need to run simulations, and I really couldn't enjoy the job because we had spent the 5 years of IIT for us was building a lot of products. So we just got used to the culture of building products. So just to give you background, something changed or something unique happened in IIT Madras ecosystem in the year when we got into 2007 to 2012. A lot of new things got started in the IIT. One of that was a department itself, so Department of Engineering Design. That was a very unique department because it focused on product development. It did not focus on pure engineering, but actually focused on how to use engineering to do product development. So there a lot of focus was there, a lot of encouragement was there to think in terms of product, think in terms of business, think in terms of converting engineering into a final product and doing hands-on work. Along with that, there was a small student-run hub which had got created, which was Center for Innovation. Again, the idea was very similar. It was funded by a class of I think 1970s or something, and their focus was also to encourage. It was a student-run center, and the idea was to encourage students to build. So you build you build drones, you build cars, you build robotics, you do whatever, but you build. Take your engineering and actually bring in a physical application of it, real life application of it. Along with that, there was a growing enthusiasm around entrepreneurship, which was happening. So we serendipity, we got enrolled in a minor called social entrepreneurship. So we again learned a fair bit about entrepreneurship. So all these things happened together, and we had spent all the 5 years on campus building things, trying to dream quite a lot of building products, watching Steve Jobs videos and whatnot. And then you land up in an MNC where all day long you're pressing buttons and running simulations without any idea about what the final product is, how that final product will it ever come to India? Would you ever even get to see that kind of a product? And it was very, very disappointing. And the job was not very demanding. It was a very, very boring SOP-driven job, and it was not a place for somebody like me who's constantly feeling restless. So we said, and at that time we realized that there is the growing the buzz around EV. The technology around EV is evolving. Tesla had just launched their Model S. Not many in India actually even knew about Tesla or Elon Musk or the Model S, but it was a story which was coming up. We realized that the technology has changed significantly from lead acid batteries to lithium-ion batteries. The power electronics have become more and more dense, and this is the time to bring in electric vehicles into the market. More so because it is a very technology-driven transformation, and that can only be driven by people who understand technology. And what we had seen back then is that most OEMs were not actually focusing on the technology; they were more focused on the business. They were content with the ICE technology, and there was no market force driving them to look beyond ICE and think about EVs. So that was a perfect place for a startup to come in, and especially for a tech-driven startup to come in. And that's how we just got started.
So, I mean, I pick up few things. Somebody studying in IIT Madras or any other academic institutions, for us to look for a startup or a person who is likely to pursue startup is somebody who is building things, who is discontented, okay, and is willing to take the big bets, right? It's not somebody who's doing great in grades alone, not necessarily doing great in grades. I think that's something
I did do good in grades as well.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that it has to be mutually exclusive, but to look for a good startup idea, who probably would need to look for those who are building, who are discontented what is being said, and are willing to push the boundaries, and that's where I think we need to scout for rather than go into the classroom and to go into the but the story of Aether. I mean, you decided to do this. You got unhappy with the great companies, but the simulation door. Aether took few years before it really before EV became big, and that's when you got that thing. Could you kind of at that point forecast when EV would become big, and then during that journey, how did you manage? I mean, running a startup means you need to have that progress in whatever you're doing. You need to have funds. You need to have people who believe into it. Now, can you talk a little bit more about those? What was your experiences in these areas?
Yeah, it was unlike most of the startups which were coming in those days. It was a very different and challenging experience for us. So 2012 was not a time when there were many or any, for that matter, hardware startups which were there in the country. Most of them were software startups. Even the ecosystem, the VC ecosystem, investors, everybody understood softwares and the business driven by software like e-commerce and whatnot. But almost nobody understood hardware. They didn't even consider hardware and manufacturing as technology. For them, the word software and technology were synonymous. If somebody says technology, they are actually talking about software. Is hardware itself a hardware and like mechanical? Is that even a technology? Most people did not even consider that as a technology. They assume that it is routine. There is nothing to be done in that phase. Similar, and for that same reason, talent. So firstly, because of that, the funds were almost impossible to gather. Nobody understood the domain. Nobody could think why this industry would ever make money, and especially a startup coming in this industry, why would that ever make money? That was not understood. Talent was almost impossible to get because as a country we haven't had, at least back then, a lot of culture of building grounds of product. We have we have been used to doing value engineering, improving products, reducing costs, but starting from a clean slate, thinking product, then thinking subsystems and building them together is not something which many had done in the country. So even finding the right kind of talent, right kind of engineers who could build a product, who could design a product from a clean slate was almost was very, very, very difficult. So we never really solved the funding problem. Even until we went IPO, there was always a skepticism that is this ever going to make money, including the day of IPO. So so we just got lucky, I would say, during the process. We just found some set of people who were equally enthusiastic about the future of hardware, who liked us as founders, and who were willing to take a bet that this can work out. So, I mean,
who gave you the first check, and what do you think he saw to give that? And how much was the first check?
First check was 5 lakhs, and that came from the professor himself. So when we left our job, we went to the professor and we said all along. So most of our professors had gotten used to this, like taking a dig at us. They would say, "Hey, anyway, you are not going to study because you are going to go into a bank or a consulting. So I know you guys are not going to study," and they will always be disappointed. Although for the entire 5 years, they would be disappointed in us because they know end of this 5 years, all the effort we put as professors, it's going to bear no fruit because we are going to go and join a bank or a consulting. So they would keep doing that. And when we left our job and came back, we told them, "See, you told us for 5 years that you don't do product development. We are going to do product development. You have to give us money to do that." And
that's a great pitch.
and professor was kind enough to actually give us personal money, and he put in 5 lakh. That was honestly, it was a big deal back then because that just allowed us to play around. I mean, it was never enough to actually get anything out of the door, but it was enough to give us time to just think and like sort of hypothesize what kind of product we want to build while our basic livelihood is getting covered. So that was the first check. Second check came from an alumnus who had just bought a Tesla, and he wanted to he was in the US, he had bought a Tesla, and he wanted to see a Tesla equivalent in India. So again, based on hunch, he put in the money. The third big money came from Sachin and Vinny Bansal, and that also came purely on the grounds of hunch. They felt that, okay, these people look smart, this industry can probably have something, and they just put in money.
And you're from IITM. Did that help? Did the brand IITM help?
That did help, I think, especially when we say that we're building something tech, then the IIT brand name and definitely helped. Obviously, that also had its own baggage, because most people felt that you understand tech, but you don't understand business. So you are going to spend all your life, and we did spend a good time. Like from 2013 to 2017, all we did was product development. We had no revenue, and people kept on telling us that because you're technical people, you are only focused on building the tech. You are actually not putting the product out in the market. And it was very hard to explain them that you can't do a MVP of bike. Like, people will die if you do a MVP of bike. So we have to be thorough in our product development. Only then we can start the business. So
yeah, that's another thing. And we today, at least I know that many of us, when we talk to investors, there seems to be a big hurry to get something out of the door and have a traction, and traction being seen as revenue. Okay, and until you see revenue, the people seem to be, it's not going to work. So another thing that I see is that we need to find professors who are so passionate about their student that they're willing to be a foolish investor as well, to be counted as friends and family and the F's, the third F. But I think some of us probably would do that and create another Aether in future. But you did join IITM Incubator when you came back. So tell us a little bit about what you gained by being in an incubator, and for how long you were there, and what really made a change over there.
So I think the early days are full of uncertainties, right? Like you are fresh out of college. You have always lived, especially given in the Indian ecosystem, you have always lived a very certain life. You are very clear what next, and then suddenly you jump into startup. It's a ocean which you have jumped in. You don't know which direction to go. You have no idea will you survive or not. You need some anchor. You need something which you can sort of anchor onto, and that is a very psychological security which the incubation cell, to some extent, I would say, the first thing which it provided was that there is some place which I can anchor to. There's some people I can talk to, some advice I can get, and I'm not in a ocean all by myself. There's something, there's some sort of an anchor, some sort of a navigation which I have, and that was the psychological safety which came with a very small things like just the incubation cell name, people whom we could talk to, Professor Junjunwala, and then a small office space, the shared co-working space which we got. That just gave some sort of an anchor, some sort of a stability in life. Okay, there is something that was very critical. Then some of the contacts, like even the alumnus who invested in us, he came via one of the sessions which happened in the incubation cell. So that was helpful. So some of the contacts which we got, some of the early mentors which we got were contacts of the incubation cell. So that was very helpful. The seed round, the office space. This is very early days of IITM incubation cell. It was not very we were probably very early, probably first 10 companies to got incubated very formally into the incubation cell. So they were also forming their own ways of working on how to get things done. So even in those early days, I think that was really helpful.
Now, if one were to come today, and there are so many more incubators, so much more has been gained. I mean, we all progressed a lot more than where we were 13, 15 years ago. If today, many of the incubators would want to have a success story like yours, a startup coming out and being as successful as yours, what is it that you would recommend to us as incubators that we should be focusing on, which would help generate many more Aethers?
Right. So, beyond the business support and the general psychological support which the incubation cell gives, I am a believer that there has to be more more tangible support which incubation cells have to start providing. Again, our example, what helped us in the early days is the IITM ecosystem. Though it was not necessarily formally part of the incubation cell, we had access to some of the labs and the professors and some of the people which helped us in the early days. And I believe that that's what is important. If I were to give a very strong opinion, I would say incubation cells have to be sector specific and not sector agnostic. Because if we want to build deep tech, there is a fair bit of requirement of infrastructure, mentorship, and ecosystem which is required. And I think that is better done via having a very sector specific incubation cell. Maybe it let be EV or drones or robotics, whichever, or any other domain. I'm not saying only these. But if you have a very specific focus area, you would ideally, I would want the incubation cell to build the infrastructure as well. If you are a AI focused incubation cell, you might as well have some GPUs at your disposal for the incubators to use. If you are a EV, you might have some battery cyclers or cell cyclers available with you, so that the early days, the startups don't spend in trying to figure out basic things to just get going. They can focus on their product and the innovation rather than figuring out labs and infrastructure and all of that, which are very time consuming and tend to slow down in the really early days. Plus, having mentors who are again specific. If there is a EV specific incubation cell, if Aether can mentor them, it becomes easy for Aether for the incubators to only interact with one. Otherwise, today I'm interacting with like probably 50 different incubation cells and colleges about EVs. It becomes difficult for me as well to interact. Same goes for even if I have to invest, I would specifically want to be able to work with one or two incubation cell. Or if I want to get some technology, I would want to be specific to a particular area. So I think sector specific incubation cells is something which I believe are very critical to speed up the incubation period and get things moving much faster.
I think we will need to stop here, but that's a very interesting point in terms of specializing and building deep capabilities within not necessarily one area, but probably restricted few areas, but really build deep capabilities as an incubator, and as not just incubator, but within the ecosystem that incubator really is strong at. So, I mean, while there could be a lot more that we can talk about, and I'm sure many of the audience would like to speak more with you, but we are constrained by the time today. So really would need to stop. But he's available for lunch, and during lunch, if any one of you would like to spend more time to talk more details, it would be fantastic. But very interesting, he has been backed by an investment by Hero MotoCorp, and I don't know whether Hero MotoCorp today thinks it's great to have invested, to have a strong contender and a competitor. Well, that's another story. We will catch it up some other time. Thank you so much, Swapnil, for coming over.
Thank you.
Okay, now we come to the valedictory address, and I think I would like to first acknowledge some of the volunteers who have been working. You must have seen them in those T-shirts with ISBACON written on it, and these are the volunteers who actually are doing something like this for the first time. So they have been working selflessly. So as a matter of recognition, I would like to, I'm calling out their names, and this is a certificate of appreciation on behalf of ISBA for the smooth running of this conference. Samuel Islam. So when you look at And you can see that despite the fact that many of you have flights to catch, I think that always the last day of the conference, I think it's not the depreciation of energy as much as it is also because of the logistics and then the managing around it. So really appreciate all those who are present here. I would now like to request, we really are very fortunate and honored that we have Colonel Prabir Sengupta, Group CEO, IIT Guwahati Research Park Foundation, and he's agreed to come and give us the valedictory address. I would request him to please come and address. Thank you. Thank you. Big round of applause.
Good afternoon, everybody. All the distinguished guests, ISBACON, for inviting me, Swapnil ma'am, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to IIT Guwahati, part of ISBACON, which has been a flagship for organizing the Incubators meet. I would like to put on record everyone who worked so hard to get this event going. I would like thank everyone who traveled distances during this tough times with the airlines the way they are to make your presence felt here. I would like to thank each and everybody who worked behind the scenes to make this possible. Wish you all the very best. Happy journey. God bless. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, sir, for your kind words. And now I request President to give the vote of thanks.
So, again, I'll not make it very long. And there is a long list of people that I have to thank for making all this thing happen. And I think a special, and I told you, I think in the beginning, for me, it's new. I've come to Guwahati for the first time. So when we are used to, this is the 17th edition of ISBACON. So you would feel that we have done it 16 times before. So it comes, we are already in an automatic mode. But like I just came to note, leadership is all about making decisions, and we did that in this 3 days of pre-conference and conference. We made a lot of decisions which were required in order to accommodate the local realities and the local way of working. It's a lesson for us, and we are very glad that along the way we had a strong leader, Swapnil Sinha, who actually, so give a big round of applause to Swapnil, who's not here. I think she's again running around and trying to help us organize a few things, but she and her team at BioNest have been working for, the calls is to go up until midnight sometimes, all the, because imagine taking care of such a huge conference and delegates coming from all over the place. It's no mean task. So really appreciate, and my sincere thanks and gratitude to that. Of course, I would like to thank the entire leadership team of IIT Guwahati for allowing us, for hosting us, for welcoming us to this beautiful campus. And there's no doubt, there's no competition. I can say it's one of the most beautiful campuses of IIT in India. So I think if there ever is a ranking on, and if they want, let's say, votes from users or people who have been, please put it on the ISBA group. I'm sure you'll get a lot of votes for that as well. So thank you very much, the entire leadership team of IIT Guwahati for that. And also all the delegates who come from far. I know, like Colonel mentioned before, that given all the situation with the flights and knowing that we had dependency on one particular airline to reach Guwahati, so but we made it. I think some of you had to reschedule, and we made it. So I'm very glad what these 3 days of panel discussions and all the interactions we had with the government. I must say there's so much for us to do. And there's a long list of insights we got and actionable actions that we have to do, and we will be working on that as part of the ISBA governing body. I would also want to thank all the advisory committee members who also showed their commitment towards ISBA and also came for the conference. Thank you very much to each and everyone. And like to thank all the people who were on the right side, behind the scenes. There's so many to name, but I'll just name a few that I've been talking: Pooja, Sushmita, Gladys, and Nisha, Sindhu. All of these have been working tirelessly, and they did everything possible to make sure that each of the delegates are able to travel, to come over here, and the smooth running of the operations and the smooth running of the conference. Thank you to each one of you. And last but not the least, I must say that the governing body members, and I have my strong supporter, someone whom I can always rely on, who has not slept. I must say, if you do not know, in the past 4 days, he must have slept probably only 8 to 10 hours. Give a big round of applause to Prasad Shetty. Again, Prasad Shetty has been the force. I think many of you would not know that. If I have to write a book about what he has done behind the scenes, it's really inspirational, and it's something that all of us can learn. I am also learning. Thank you very much, Prasad. Please stand up so that everybody, once again, please, a big round of applause. And I've saved the best for the last. Thank you very much. I think this concludes the ISBACON 2025. And where will be ISBACON 2026? That's a matter of surprise and mystery. We'll inform you that. And please enjoy the lunch that is being served. Can someone help me? Where exactly is the lunch served? Sushmit? Yeah. Is okay where the tea was served? Okay, the lunch is served where the tea is served, and you saw we learned from yesterday, and we kept 3 counters of tea today. So we are also learning, right? How do we manage this this kind of crowd? So all the best, safe flights to everyone, and happy learning. Thank you very much.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to MyStartupTV.